Okay, we're going to start the Sangerville Select Board meeting. It's Wednesday, May 1st, 2024, and it's 4 o'clock. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is open session, which looks like it could be pretty. Did everybody sign in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Lance, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
We need to have a discussion about the supposed break-in at the town hall and the police report.
We don't have a police.
Have you read?
Do we have a police
Have you read the
report?
police report?
I don't. Do we have a police report?
Just reported it that somebody been in there.
Okay.
I have it here from the sheriff's office. The first one is, on the above date and time, I met with Jeff Libby, an employee for the town of Sangerville. He explained that the old town office, which is condemned, seems to have people inside recently. Jeff explained that there are probably a few keys floating around, however, nobody should be in there for safety issues. Jeff explained there's a group trying to save the building and he believes this is probably associated with that. Jeff was telling me this for information purposes only. He requested an eye kept on the building to prevent anyone else from going in the old building. Nothing further. Then Officer Tina said during that conversation with Jeff Libby, he explained that he believes the individuals that were inside of the building were most likely Jeffrey Peters, 02/26/1968, and Lance Johnson, 4/17/1968. Jeff Libby was not certain it was these two, however, he made it seem that they were leading the charge of revitalizing effort. Jeff did advise it was just speculation, they have nothing further at this time. How do you go from think something is missing to jump straight to Jeff and Lance must have broken and stolen?
We haven't seen that.
How do you make that leap?
We have not seen that. You just first time you read
This
it,
was brought to us.
right? But we hadn't seen it.
Who brought it to you?
I got it from Jeff. Jeff,
And who brought it to you, Jeff?
it's
I did,
Okay.
And
public
Mike,
information.
who brought it to you?
I went and got it.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean.
But we didn't know
I
about
you
it.
don't have it, you had a chance to respond.
You guys don't know about it.
We-
You know about it, it
You're
was in the
selectmen, you're
meeting,
supposed to know about these
it
things.
was in your minutes.
No, we.
Would you like a copy?
You've read it. I don't need to see it now.
I mean, I know we're in that group. And, maybe it would benefit them or anything, but how do you make that leap and put my name and Jeff's name in a criminal?
We didn't. If you're asking, Jeff, go right ahead.
Well, you instructed him to do it.
No, we did not.
How did you come up with it?
How
They
did you
asked
get
me
the
who
information?
possibly had keys, and I never mentioned breaking in, I said somebody had been in the building.
I never had keys. I got a letter from Lorna here stating, I, Lorna Developing, former town manager and clerk, can attest that there were no plans in a tube. Majority of those records were located in a box, located in the town manager's office next to two black drawer filing cabinet on the floor. Also, the only people with access to municipal office are town clerk, deputy clerk, and town manager, as there are only 3 keys. She says there's only 3 keys, they're in the office, and they all say do not duplicate on them.
Yeah, I don't know, I was told you possibly had a key to get in there.
By who?
Huh?
By who?
I'm not on display here, I said what I said in there, there was coffee cups found in there. Possibly the only ones that wanted the prints, I told them where the prints were, because we asked where the prints were, the box was pulled out, the prints were left on the table, part of the prints were left there, part of the prints are missing. So,
I mean, it states right in the town report, said right in the town report, town employees have taken multiple or hundreds of files out of the town office. They did a whole reorganizing effort, which was a great thing, but maybe they were in there. I've never seen them.
yep.
I'm not a big fan of these.
I didn't accuse either one of you, it's how it's written up.
My name's in the police report, and it says it's criminal.
But that isn't how I reported it.
Well, that's how they wrote it.
So I know that, that's what I said. So, if I've sat in his office plenty of times, I'm not gonna accuse him of stealing. I'm not gonna accuse you of stealing. They asked me possibilities, who could have been in the building? I said you possibly had a key. That's why I asked you the other day if you had any keys to just turn them in.
I've never had keys. I would never want keys. I just think it's an incredible leap and it's not right. And my attorney didn't think it was right either. You will be getting a letter or an email. Most likely you got it today or you're gonna get it tomorrow.
And it said right in there, possibly, I'm not accusing anybody.
Well, I think it's
Who
accused if it's
possibly
a
could
police
not-
report and you're naming two people.
What's
It's a
that?
police report, it's a complaint. And
It's
there's
called
two
assassination
names on
of
it.
character, that's all he's trying to do.
Criminal mischief. Is what it's listed as.
I didn't list anything on that, I just said somebody was in there to keep an eye on the building. So, not to pursue anything, it's just a report.
We always needed the town manager to let them into the building to do anything, so.
What's that? What?
We always needed the town manager to help us get into the building when we were able to do what we were able to do. So, I mean, if we had the key from Lance, we would have been able to bypass that, but we never were able to. We always had to go through him.
Yep.
Do you wanna read?
So, I felt too, Mike wasn't the only one that had brought this to my attention. I felt like I operate a business in Piscataquis County. You have one thing going for you, and that is your reputation. There is nothing else that's gonna bring people in other than your reputation. And I feel like that is under attack. And this defames my credibility as a person. It defames my credibility as a candidate to run for an office. I am going to run for selectman. I'm not here to say that this was set up to do that,
Bullshit, it wasn't.
but I'm here to say that it certainly has had an effect on it because I have had just people after people after people asking me about it. Which means people are talking about it, and I did not appreciate that at all.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe, you had a question.
Oh, I don't understand how people can be talking about it unless it's been disseminated. There was a discussion with the police, period.
I can answer that. In your previous recorded meeting, this break-in was discussed, and in that meeting's minutes, it pointed the finger at my committee, and that's what's been brought to me, and I'm the chair of that committee. That's what's come to me. The police report stuff, that's why we went and got a police report, is I wanted to know what was being said. And I was kind of shocked when I got it, to be honest.
Very shocked.
Well, the question is as far as we're a select board, we're responsible for the buildings and for the land and everything else with regard to the town of Sangerville. And when something is, I believe the building was, somebody went into the building and left the door open on leaving, left 3 coffee cups and left a flashlight. So someone was in there, so it's our responsibility to report it to the police. I think every single person in this room would agree that it's our responsibility to look after the buildings.
Right. I don't disagree with that one bit. That is your job to look after the building.
We had additional documents taken this week too.
Yeah.
But finger pointing this
Oh,
committee,
you
which
guys
is
changed the
a,
locks, you said.
Yeah,
No,
this
from-
was from a different location. The warrant was posted and someone took it
From inside the building?
inside
Inside
the post office.
So you obviously have an issue, but you can't go around insinuating or accusing groups or committees or people without evidence. And this report of police officer isn't gonna put specific names and groups into a report. It's gonna reflect solely back on somebody who upholds the law unless it was said and it shouldn't have been said. And I was really hurt, really offended, because I thought you were my friend. I thought you were a business associate, and it was a shock. And I feel that no matter what happened, people shouldn't be pointing fingers at somebody that that you do not have proof that that's what happened. And if there is a problem with the town buildings, obviously you gotta look into that, but you shouldn't be blaming or insinuating or accusing people that everybody in this room knows that these, our committee, these two guys, they would never steal from anybody, ever.
And that's what I told her, I said, I'm not accusing anybody.
Then why did he put your names in
Who
there?
had access?
Listen, when you name somebody, you're accusing somebody or somebody.
I specifically said,
35
I'm not
years
accusing them of doing it.
But you gave
That's
names.
what that means.
Who had access?
You
What
gave
that means, you're accusing
that
somebody.
he did not have access.
I
He
can
told you.
apologize, but it's not gonna take that.
No, you should pay him.
And,
You should pay him for impugning his reputation.
Do you wanna hear what the lawyers had to say about this?
I think we should read the letter, just so
I think
everybody's on the
Selectmen
same
needs to
page.
hear the letter.
Yes, please.
Are you reading, Lance?
No, go right ahead.
You want you-
The letter states, "This is a cease and desist false and defamatory remarks. And it's addressed to Mr. Libby. I have consulted with Lance Johnson and Jeffrey Peters. By letter on April 12, 2024, you suspended Lance from his position as Town of Sangerville's Code Enforcement Officer and Plumbing Inspector. The basis of the suspension is allow you to investigate Lance for wrongdoings while CEO. As an initial matter, the notice you provided was inadequate. My client is entitled to know who the complainant is, when the so-called wrongdoings occurred, and an explanation of precise details of the wrongdoings. Despite the vague and ambiguous accusation of wrongdoings, you had Lance's name removed from the town website and directed that he not perform the job he enjoys for the community he loves. This is fundamentally unfair, a violation of Lance's due process rights, and amounts to defamation per se. Lance takes his job very seriously and has absolutely not been involved in any wrongdoings, but your actions have communicated falsely to the community that Lance has done something improper or even illegal. Several members of the town have understandably questioned Lance about this situation, and your false statements have been damaging. It has come to our attention that you contacted Deputy Michael Pena of the Scottsbluff County Sheriff's Office and told him Lance Johnson and Jeff Peters most likely broke into the Old Town offices. You obviously have no evidence to level those accusations because that never happened. If you continue to falsely claim Lance and Jeff engaged in unlawful activity, we request an injunction relief from the Superior Court. We hereby demand you immediately cease and desist from making false accusations against Lance Johnson and Jeffrey Peters. Furthermore, Lance must be immediately reinstated into his position. Finally, Lance and Jeffrey demand that an apology letter be issued so they can clear their good names, which was unreasonably and recklessly maligned. I urge you to contact the Maine Municipal Association and speak to a lawyer who will verify that you are putting yourself and the town of Sangerville in jeopardy of a civil suit if these concerns are not immediately rectified. Please contact this office if you have any questions. Thank you for your attention. Warm regards, Christian Foster. That is the letter from the attorney, and that was his opinion on what happened. And I think the question that Lance and I, we've talked about this multiple times. It's been 3 weeks since that happened, and Lance doesn't even have any idea what he did wrong.
Right,
He
and I
doesn't have a
asked,
job.
I'm assuming it was what was in the police log.
No,
well, it's,
I wouldn't
this
assume
is
that.
not, this is, yeah, this
This
is
is a
not.
personnel matter.
This is a personnel matter.
You're-
This
they're
is not.
kinda
And you need to
conflating.
tell him, the lawyer said that. It's his personnel file, and he can tell whoever he wants, but
Yeah, in
it's not.
fact, he has right to look at his personnel file anytime he wants to.
Well,
He can
why-
share it with anybody he wants to.
Why wouldn't you just tell him? what-
We can't, it's against the law for us to look at his personnel file.
No, to put him on suspension, like if I was.
No, we don't do that. That's not our job. That's the town manager's
Yeah,
job.
that was
That
just
was at your
recently
discretion.
given to
No,
him.
it isn't. No, it isn't.
Who does the town manager work for?
He works for
Works
them.
for- he
He works for them.
works-
Okay.
Gentlemen,
He talks to the selectmen.
the selectmen don't
He reports
oversee
to the selectmen.
employees. The only person we oversee is the town manager. That's it.
That took place in executive session, so you
Okay,
need to stop lying about all this.
Who are you?
You claim you didn't know that there was a police report. and
I
this
didn't
happened
know there was
just
a police
admitted
report. I didn't know there was a police report. He didn't tell
He
us.
just said he did.
He told you on the last minutes.
We did not,
Actually,
I was not
we
aware there was a
did
police
Jody
report.
actually-
Yeah, and I forgot my
We
name
do.
too.
I was at the last meeting, and you did say that there was a police report and you was looking into
Yeah,
it.
I've
And
never
the
seen,
police-
And you was gonna ask to have the, camera looked at, which I thought was a great idea from Robinson's. And I got the same thing going, if you think another document has been stolen, doesn't the post office have cameras as well?
We are
So,
looking into
it
that.
turns out they
There you
don't,
go.
it turns
We're
out
looking
they
into
said they don't, I
No.
guess. We thought they would,
So.
but they don't.
So it was discussed.
But back,
It was said.
personnel matters are handled, the only employee that answers to the select board is the town manager.
And you run the town manager, so he can do what he wants, and you say it's okay.
So,
That's
back
not
to
how it works.
back to the matter at hand. Lance was suspended.
Of course it's how it works, they don't want
Lance-
you to know it.
Lance has not been given a reason of his suspension. It's been 3 weeks and nobody has contacted him.
that, Lance?
Nobody has asked him
But they just
questions.
said you had the right to go see his personnel.
That's
file.
right,
If I
absolutely.
go to,
Walk in and
if
see
I go
his
to town
personnel
office
file.
tomorrow, I can look at my personnel file.
Absolutely, there's nothing in
In there, it'll say why I'm suspended,
Nothing in there,
No, there's nothing in there.
there's nothing in it.
So what, why is he suspended?
Suspended if there's nothing in there.
Well, you gonna let me speak, you're gonna holler at me.
I'm gonna holler at you as much as I possibly can.
Okay, well,
Then I can't give you an answer if
Try
you're
to
gonna
be
holler at me.
respectful.
You want an answer? Just listen.
Yeah, we
I'll give
want
you
an answer.
So Lance is suspended with pay, pending an investigation. I have not finished my investigation. I said, told Lance, when I finish my investigation, I will get with him in writing and tell him what's going on. But until then, nothing's been done. I'm
so why are
working
you
on it.
dragging your feet?
Shouldn't he know
I'm
what
not
he
dragging my
was,
feet.
should he know what
3
he's
weeks?
under investigation for?
He asked me,
What's that?
when I have all the facts and write it down, he'll have.
Yeah, I asked you what I was accused of, and you said I'm not accused of anything.
But you
You
don't know the
obviously don't know what
investigation if you're not
accusation
accused.
If somebody says he done something wrong, I owe it to him to go out and find out, did he or didn't he do something wrong?
100%.
Then I need to give him an honest answer, did he do something wrong or not?
But
That's what
he
he's gonna
should-
get,
He
he's
should
gonna
at
get an
least
honest answer.
know, he should at least know, I feel, that he should at least know, he doesn't need to know who made the complaint or whatever, but he should at least know what the complaint is.
He will, he
No,
will.
he should before he's on suspension, like if I work somewhere else, I can't be put on suspension and told that I can't come into work. I need a reason as to what's
And
happening.
he will get that.
But that's not fair,
There's a-
it's
there's a
due
process
process,
to go through.
it's due process, due process
This really
is he
isn't
should
the
know
forum.
right
No,
now.
no.
Not
We need to
what the
move it on.
investigation
Yeah,
is, but what the.
This isn't the right, this isn't the
Okay.
forum for this sort of discussion, okay?
I
This-
think legally, if you just told Lance what he's accused of privately, I think legally he has a right to know.
He will.
I do.
And that
Not
you
will.
need to tell him what he's
Process.
accused of, and I think legally, before you can put somebody on suspension, they have to have a clue what's going on.
Right.
And that's all that I think he's asking right now.
What's
Then-
the charge? What's?
Yeah.
This is a personnel matter, this is not the forum for that, which,
Okay.
Okay.
You run the town, you run
Let
the
me-
town, right? You run the town, right? Does he work for you?
Yes.
Does he work for you?
I thought we discussed that already.
So, you know he works for you, you tell him what you want done, and he does it. He's a puppet for you.
No, we're all following statute. I am sure before he took any action, he consulted the town's attorney. That's between him and the town's attorney.
I think we should have the town's attorney at the next meeting, let's hear it.
We'll decide if that's the case, but that's how this stuff works, okay? We don't even consult with the town's attorney with regard to personnel matters.
But you run the town.
No, we don't run the town. We have a role as selectmen that is different than that of town manager or town clerk.
Who hires the town manager? You guys do, so you control. You put your puppet in charge to do what you want him to do.
What's your name, sir?
George English.
There, I just wanted people to know who's speaking. So, this is a personnel matter, this isn't the appropriate venue for that, okay? So, did somebody want to speak about anything else today?
I asked Bruce McNaughton, I asked specifically last week, twice to get put on the agenda, so I hope
Okay.
my time doesn't get cut short. Correct me if I'm wrong, but last week, right at the end of one of your meetings, you stated that the select board was not going to do anything about the property over in southeast Sangerville.
Well, actually, there has been some progress.
Well, excuse me.
Oh.
Tom and I specifically requested all information, everything, communications, verbal, written, everything. We've gotten nothing.
I
But
thought you said you had some
three
stuff
times
for Tom.
I gave him the deeds that I had. I can't give him the lawyer information,
Right.
and, because that weren't my letter anyway, and he has the letter, that was given to Mr. Newt, they have that, and he also requested, he gave me some dates on, to look up, town meetings on when that road may or may not have, and how it was discontinued, which I wrote down. I said, I'm gonna look through those, get through town meeting, then I'll go look through those, the safe, and see if I can find those town meetings for those dates and find out how that deed was.
And we're not questioning that. What I'm questioning is, several times since the first time we came in here last December, you've talked about these meetings, these conversations, and we specifically requested dates, times, and what the subject matter was. And that included verbal conversations. And we've gotten nothing back from that. And you just said just now that there's been more progress made on that.
Well, I spoke to the town's attorney as to whether it would be appropriate to spend town funds.
Is she a real estate attorney,
Yes,
specialty?
yeah,
She is.
yeah, she's an expert.
Really? You told us at the last meeting that we were at, that the town's attorney was just a general municipal attorney.
Turns,
It turns out that she has quite a lot of expertise when it comes to real estate as well.
Well, I find that suspect, but go ahead.
Okay, anything else?
No,
Anybody else?
I'm asking the question, why aren't you gonna do anything to protect the town's interest in that? You're gonna let this guy decide for the town and the townspeople? You don't own that property, the townspeople own that property.
Town owned lots of property.
That's right, and I know exactly what they are. She knows exactly what they are. But we have a right to access all that property, and you're allowing this guy to determine he's got two gates out, two places.
We
for
have
people to
other
access.
properties that are difficult to access too, so, I
I know
mean,
what the properties are, and I know how to access them. We already know what they are.
so this is,
But you're allowing this guy to determine who can access that property, and if the town can access that
if
property.
he owns the land, he can post it.
I don't care if he posts it or not, I'm talking about access.
Well,
What are you going to do to make sure that the public has access to it?
The town's
And
attorney
town has
advised that
access?
we not spend money to fight for access for individuals. The town's interest
We're
needs
not
to be
talking about
protected.
individual, we're talking about the town's interest.
That's what I'm talking
You
about.
keep shifting this
No,
conversation.
the town's interest would be, for example, harvesting timber.
It's the public's interest. Public access. It's town property. It's not his property, it's not your property, it's the town's property. We have a right to access that property. He doesn't have a right to keep us out.
Turns out he thinks he does.
I don't care what he thinks he has.
Well, sue
He
him.
doesn't.
That property was.
And I don't understand, the last time we were in here, at every turn, you guys kept saying, we don't know if it's worth it. We don't know if it's worth it.
I don't know if worth is the right word, but.
No, that's
If you're
your
gonna
words,
spend
those
money-
are your words, and you go right back to the recording.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the correct phrase, but, that's not how it's determined.
You kept saying,
Which-
all three of you kept saying, we're not sure if it's worth it to pursue this. And apparently you concluded, and I'm not sure how you concluded, because you've not talked about this during an open meeting. But all of a sudden last week.
We've had
you-
similar situations, that's all, when it came to gates. So I think we were referencing that previous
But
experience.
how did the three of you come to that conclusion? There's been
Because
no
of that
conversation.
previous experience that we had. We were, in this case, the gate was actually on a road that, without question, had public easement. The road that you're referencing, I think it's
Questionable.
questionable. In fact, it looks like there may not be a public, because you mentioned, your attorney suggested it might require eminent domain, which
That's
would
that's
imply
an
that he
option.
owns it.
That's a viable option.
Right, so in the previous example, it wouldn't have been eminent domain, there was a public easement there was no debate about that. But individuals wanted the town to essentially litigate this gate. And the individuals were correct.
You keep shifting everything around. That's
I'm
what
just
we're talking
sharing
about.
you the story of the
I
background.
get
that's
all that. I know all the legal
Well,
aspects.
you asked
I've
how we
discussed
knew
with
this,
the
and I was
attorneys.
answering your question.
But this has nothing to do with your example, it has zero to do with
Well,
that.
you don't get to decide that.
Of course I do, I can think for myself.
No, but. Is there anybody else?
We're not done with this topic, please.
I think I
I'd
am.
like to know why you're giving this guy preferential treatment on allowing or not allowing the town into that property. There's almost 300 acres of land over there.
It was given to the town by the United States.
I got all that information, I know all the details. For public purposes.
Right.
I just don't think
Public
he should
land.
be able to close us out.
Yeah, these things are litigated all the time, and that's what we learned from that
And you don't seem
experience I
to
was.
be interested in litigating that for the town's interest. You'd much rather.
So far, our advice that we've received from the attorney
I'd
would
like
be
that
that
copy,
wouldn't
that
be.
letter, please.
It was just a conversation, but you're going to get it. I think what's about to, again, speculation, but I think we're going to receive a document from the landowner, from his attorney, essentially outlining an accommodation for the town, but I haven't seen that yet. I expect that might happen, but when it does, everybody will know it. But essentially to accommodate the town's access, say, for example, a forester or that sort of thing. But I haven't seen that yet.
Not for the public though? So if we wanna go hunt it, or we wanna take children there to snowshoe it and things like that, and we're not able to get in?
If he doesn't let people in, they wouldn't be just like this gate example. I know
So
you
you're
don't
gonna let him
like it.
control the town's interests.
I think
If
that
he
we should-
owns the land, I don't know what else you can do about it.
There's lots of options. And a true real estate expert would know those options.
No,
I've already discussed it with an attorney. And I have another one in my back pocket, who's a true expert in the state.
The question is, who's gonna pay for it, I guess?
The town pays for it,
Town
they're
may
gonna
have to
defend
pay
their
for it.
property.
Only if the town chooses to go down that.
Then that
Road.
might be an option, whether you guys like it or not.
Correct, that could happen.
But I don't understand why there's such pushback from you guys.
There's
It
no
has been
pushback at all.
Right from the beginning of this, you guys have been pushing against the town's interests in favor of this guy, because the first thing came out of your mouth, the first meeting we had back in December was, he's all lawyered up, as though that's some big deal.
No, he actually is a lawyer, but.
I've talked with him,
Yeah.
face to face, I've talked with him. I know their position, I know the town's position, I know the law, and I don't understand why you guys are just so reticent about doing anything.
We're just following the direction of the town's attorney, so far.
I don't
And we got the
know
same
that.
exact direction when it came to the gate years ago. And in fact, she said it's pretty common, this kind of situation where citizens want the town to expend money for access like this. So it's not unusual.
So I think we should explore it and look into it a little bit more so that we can have public access to it.
But
How do
we'll,
those-
whatever documents we get from him or her, we'll share with you.
How do they turn out? When you said there's been a lot of litigation about these things, the attorney told you, how do they turn out? Do they turn out?
No,
that
she
they
said,
don't-
I was representing, that it's common that people want town
Okay, well, I'm
funds
just
spent on
curious.
these things.
They never said how.
She said it's typically not appropriate.
But I thought you couldn't landlock property.
That's right.
Yeah, I had that impression too, but I'm not sure, I mean,
Because
And it
on
was
the other side,
government
there's
land
big
that was
wall.
given, so there must have been the government easement to it.
I've got
The
a
other
piece.
thing is like when Jeff called down, what they said was public access also was interpreted as that land can be harvested for the funds to be used for public use. Doesn't necessarily mean it's for public access for you to go into to hunt
Was
on,
that guy an
work on.
attorney?
That was the USDA office when Jeff.
I say, but were they a real estate attorney?
I gave you that.
I know that, I know, I'm asking these guys.
So you have what he told us.
Nobody seems to know anything.
Does this person have the ability to access that property that he's not allowing other people in the town to access? If he surrounds it or is blocking access to it, is he using that property and not allowing?
Exactly.
I mean, that's wrong in
Yeah.
itself.
Does he abut it?
I don't know if he does.
No, I don't know. I don't know that
If
he.
they use it for that, and I suggest if we can't, and this is just off the wall, but if we can't use it, I would strongly suggest that the town at least put something against him that he is not allowed on that property, period.
I do believe that it does abut him
It
at
does
the
abut.
back of the property.
I mean, that's,
And to get access, I believe, to the other side is nearly impossible because there's a really large bog. So you couldn't come in from the other road way over in East Sangerville.
None such road.
And yeah, I mean deeded right away, I don't know whether in the deed of the town's property, whether there's a deeded right of way to it.
I would be interested in public access for it, for simply taking, I do an outdoor women, but we do children and stuff too, and it would be a wonderful place to be able to take them and teach them snowshoeing and that type of tree identification and use it as type of an outdoor classroom. That's why I'm interested in being able to have public access to it. Yeah, he built an airport. I think he could probably let us have this much of a road so we could get in.
Anything else?
Just related to this discussion, we have talked with Jeff, and Jeff has begun the process of sharing information. There's still a lot more, hopefully we can explore. But I just want to clarify, the last meeting that I spoke, I asked if the town was willing to sit down and just study some of the various options there might be. Negotiation with the landowner and also eminent domain or any other resources, and the kickback was, and what I heard clearly was, well, the town really can't afford it. And then you just reassured me that you still feel, and you were advised by the town attorney or the attorney you consulted, that they advised not to. I guess, and I'm only speculating here, was that because of the expense of it, or?
My interpretation wasn't appropriate. And we got this,
I
that's
thought last
consistent
meeting
with.
Jeff invited you to come in to discuss all of that.
We did, we met with
Okay,
Jeff,
well, I just
and
wanna
we
be clear,
started
'cause
the process.
The way you worded that didn't sound like there's been any interaction, and I just wanna make sure that Jeff did volunteer for you to come in and
Jeff's
for you
been
to.
very gracious
Okay.
to us, we just haven't received a whole lot of information yet. Now, that, I'm not criticizing that, I appreciate Jeff's time, and we hopefully can continue that. But what I'm trying to ask here is, has the select board made up their mind they're not gonna pursue it anymore? My recollection of the conversation was you were at least open to having an exploration of all the alternatives there might be, up to and including, logging that property and having monies that might go towards eminent domain purchase or even hiring a lawyer to explore with us what more options there might be to gain access. This is town, in my mind, in a lot of folks' minds, from what I understand, this is town recreation land. And it was given in that general spirit by the United States government, the Department of Agriculture, and that I would think this select board representing the townspeople would be interested in exploring all options to maintain some type of access for the townspeople and taxpayers. But I'm hearing that it's a pretty closed mind at this point, although Jeff continues to share with us some information. We hope to continue with that. But is it in fact, are you guys done with this? Are you pretty much, as a select board, determined that you don't want to pursue any more options or research options, or?
I think we're waiting to hear from the landowners.
The landowner has suggested that he's going to work on a proposal to accommodate the town's interest. But to be fair, his interpretation of town's interest is probably gonna differ from what some of you would think would be the town's interest. And I think that's where the rub comes in, because that's also the way the attorneys often look at it. The interest of individuals is not exactly always aligned with the interest of the municipality. And so sometimes we get advice that sounds like, well, your attorney doesn't care about the people. And that does happen sometimes. So I don't know exactly where this one's gonna end up. I was referencing the previous case because to me that was even a stronger example, because we know that a public easement remains. There was no question that the easement was there. Anybody who wanted to use that road had a legal right to use it, and yet it was gated. And even in that instance, the attorney said, it's not in the town's interest to litigate that.
For what reason?
Because if, for example, and this example was given to us, if the town had gravel pit in there that it wanted to access, then you would have a financial motivation on behalf of the municipality to seek a remedy. And in this case, the gentleman that owned the gate said, if the town wants to come in the town's capacity, you're welcome to come in anytime you want to.
And you believe that? And
Well,
he's never gonna
he
revoke
actually,
it at all.
he actually offered to give us his gate at that one point. And we said, if you give it to us, we probably would just sell it, so he ended up taking it down. But the point was, the recommendation of the attorney at that time was not reflecting what individuals in the town wanted, it was reflecting what it was a him in that case, what he thought was in the best interest of the municipality.
Who's the municipality? Who is that?
This.
All of us, that's right.
The body.
The body.
That's right.
I have a question that you keep saying that we had an easement.
No.
No,
Why
no,
do we not
no.
have an easement anymore?
No, no, no,
Different
that's
piece of
different
property.
piece of property.
Different piece of property.
Okay.
On that one, in fact, the easement's still there.
Okay.
And always will be unless state law changes.
Right.
It's the Grant Road. You know, that goes
Oh,
down,
yes,
you
I
go all the
know.
way to Parkman
I
that way.
live on the Grant.
Oh,
I know exactly, you want to put a gate across there, so.
yeah.
Mike,
I'm
yes,
sorry, Mr.
yes,
Campbell.
yeah, go ahead.
I probably have a greater interest in this than anybody, since I own 80 acres that's on the other side of that.
There you go.
And the 40 acres that Wilson Newt owns is land that my family used to own and sold Wilson's father back in 1962. When that road was discontinued in 1937.
No, we don't know that for a fact, excuse me. We do not know that for a
There you go.
fact.
That's
Everybody
right.
keeps
His
saying that, but
family
that's not
owned
fact.
it, so let's hear what he's gonna say, maybe he has information for you.
Someone found that and the road was discontinued, I believe the date was in 1937, and it reverted back to the landowners on both sides. The town land was not received until many years after 1937. I think the deed reads somewhere in the early 50s. When the town received that land through a gift from the federal government, they did not have a legal right-of-way in there themselves at that time. Now, I have 80 acres up there. I can access it. I have a letter permitting me to do so. I abut the town land on two sides, on the west side and on the south side. I have property up in there. When you turn to go out the road the road forks to the right, Phil owns half of that road and I own the other half. I have maintained that road for 30 years. The only maintenance that's been done on it, I have cut the trees back so I could get in and out of there with trucks. I have taken my skidder and my dozer and graded the road where the hunters have gone in there and rutted it all out. I've done all the maintenance. I take my bush hog every year and go clear into the town property so that road is wide enough to get in there. Otherwise, it would have been grown in 25 years ago, so you couldn't get in. Now, I understand some of the implications. He's building a rather extensive complex in there and doesn't want every Tom, Dick, and Yo-Yo driving in and out of there all the time. I live on that road. My bedroom is on the front corner of my house. I see the headlights coming up there at midnight, at 2 o'clock in the morning, coming out of there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I pick up the beer cans. He doesn't want to deal with that. I don't blame him. I am glad to see some of that traffic shut off there for people who have no business being up there. I understand people want to access the town land. If you want to hunt there, I guess you could. I don't know that I've seen all that many deer tracks in there. There is some wood that could be cut at some point, although the stumpage prices right now stink. But he has a vested interest. The town discontinued that road because they didn't want to pay to keep it up. The houses that had been in there were burned. The town said, we're not gonna spend any money to fix that road, so they abandoned it and got it off their chest. And now we're paying the penalty for that because they did not retain a right-of-way of any kind. And I understand the business about landlocked land. I'm landlocked, I've got 80 acres there. I'm affected more than anybody, probably. But I'm not gonna fight over it. He's building a new home up there, he's putting in a runway, he's putting in a hangar for his plane, and it will not be guarded when he's not there. And he doesn't want that accessible to everybody that wants to, thinks they wanna go up there. And I don't blame him.
Danny's just got 300 acres added on to
Right,
his property
exactly.
and your property
And they
that
go-
nobody else can, I mean, that's kinda nice.
That's right. Should happen to me.
I mean, I'd like to use it.
It's quite ironic, he's very, open and about intrude on other people's property.
I don't know what he's got.
I think
Any other topics today?
that's quite interesting.
Okay. On to item 3, sign the minutes for 4/24/24 and 4/25/24.
And I'll make a motion to approve both minutes.
And we've already signed them.
Yeah.
Review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 27, accounts payable 28.
Make a motion to approve A and B's read.
All in favor? All 3. Old business. No? New business, but I see you've crossed out competitive bidding discussion. No?
New business, wait till we get down to town manager's report.
Okay,
You're there.
we're there.
Docks. The docks, we own the docks. They're in pretty sad shape. So
They've been-
really not safe to put out at the state they're in right now.
That's not good.
Does the town plow the launch, the
Plows
all
down-
winter?
No, it doesn't plow all the way down to that.
Because we had some damage, he said, somebody, probably it was a private thing, but.
What lunch, is that the one on Center Pond or the
No,
one
the
on
other
Harlow?
one. Manhattan.
The one on Harlow?
I mean, the way, it's prior to me, but the way I remember this is, we've gotten these through the state in the past for free, that have always gone to Mannahannock because of the bass and the beneficiaries, and then the ones out of Mannahannock always got second-handed over to Center. That's how that rotation's been. There may be something available through them if they're both in that disarray that, I know they've been piecemeal for the last 3 or 4 years.
Dale, is the public open to Center Pond, is that all, I know that gets ruddy and nasty during the winter and stuff, is that all open now?
It's open, they're putting boats in, I haven't drove down yet.
So you think the state donated those?
Yeah, it's something through inland fisheries, I think, is how those have came in the past. And I think Friday checked into that a few years ago and was talking about renovations over there. So that's why we don't actually plow down to the boat landing over there, we plow up around the top, and Center doesn't get plowed, well, publicly it gets plowed, but so the only damage down there wasn't from.
Yeah, so they got plowed this winter. They plowed into the ball diamond fence, snapped the post off, and chain link fence. And we just had Scott Reynolds clean up all the rocks and stuff that are all over the lawn and stuff up there, so. Something to look at this fall.
Yep.
I'm sure they're doing it for ice fishing or whatever.
Well,
way to
no,
get
the
in.
biggest thing about that is we've always plowed it because you've got, Mannahannock has got some landlocked lots on there, that's the only access.
So town plows it?
We plow the load, parking area and stuff, so that if landowners, they have a place to park a trailer so they can snowmobile up to their well.
Okay, so we've been paying for the plowing up there.
Right on Mannahannock, yep.
Do we just the parking lot or we go all the way to the launch? We don't go to the launch.
It goes up that far, but I think they go up, turn around, they don't actually plow down to where these are. They stay up high.
Are these repairable, Jeff, in your opinion?
You can put boards on top, take those boards out, it needs a railing,
These posts.
so.
Oh, I see.
I haven't looked at them this spring, they weren't broke last fall,
Oh.
and they took them out. So.
Hey Dale, there's one on Center Pond you can have.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. You wanna paddle over and get that for me?
Not again, no.
We talked about that last meeting, actually.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's boards that need to be replaced. I don't know.
I would
guess-
start with that phone call to see if there's any options for replacements, and then we'll have to go from there.
Okay. FEMA's been here again today. We're pretty well set on the roads part of it. The cemetery part of it, could be quite a bit involved in that. Had one contractor look at it, a big contractor, and he really wasn't interested for the scope of the work. It all has to be shelved down, and then it's gonna be Army Corps, you got water. But FEMA's they got a site visit next week to look at that slide. They want me to get 2 quotes, which will have to have an engineering group come in and look at that. It's got to be engineered. So they will pay back some of that engineering, we'll be on the hook for 10% of it. They want 2 engineering groups to come in, and they also want 2 quotes on possibly moving the graves. Ouch.
Paul, have you ever, anything like this ever come up before as far as in the state level? Where you have major erosion or damage to the property in the area of a graveyard and, I mean, cause that's, I mean, that's what we're looking about, is moving those graves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gonna move the graves?
Might have to.
They may have to be. That's why I didn't know if, you know, with your, at the state level is,
No, I can't remember anything like that. I know IFW puts in docks and all that sort of thing.
Don't do anything.
No, I'm not touching the grave.
I'd be very cautious about moving somebody's grave.
Well,
Well, they don't have a choice.
they're sliding into the
about to go to the
Piscataquis
Piscataquis,
River.
Oh my God.
yeah.
That whole bank of
Can really see it when you're coming from the Guilford side, it's just,
sliding in.
You look downriver, that whole bank, the big last storms, over the last several years, what's been happening is the bigger trees in the bank, as they start to tip, it's loosening the soil, so we've been selectively cutting that bank to help that, but with that last storm, there's a huge section that's just washed right
It
out.
just slid right off.
we've even, did you block access to that?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
put-
it's actually unsafe to even get over there now.
Yeah. Plus you got more going,
Yeah,
more
I
you
know.
can't see this slide.
I guess if it was me, I'd contact the families and tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Getting to that point, to that point.
I don't know. I can't say that I've ever heard that. Not that I can
It's
remember.
gonna be a project.
So with that, I gotta
There
find
was
out.
an issue in Cambridge where somebody owned part of the graveyard. He threatened to dig them out.
Oh, jeez. No.
It didn't
And
happen.
we thought we had problems.
Yeah.
Do we know how many grave sites we're talking about approximately, to be safe?
No, we gotta look that up. We got to June of '25 to do all this. Or you can pull it, you got 2 choices. So, you got the engineering fees in there that FEMA will pay back up to 10, we'll have 10% of our money in there. We gotta investigate through the state or whatever, what's involved in moving graves, if we want to know how many graves we gotta move. But that goes all the way down, it goes almost to the bridge.
It goes to the bridge.
If you start looking. So,
And once it starts cascading, it's just a domino effect.
The
Well, we
big
all-
damage from the rain in December.
Yep,
That's what
that,
happened.
yep.
it's all gravel, so there's
There's
really
nothing
no
there.
aggregate to hold anything there. So, so that's that on that, that's gonna be a huge project,
Yeah.
it's gonna be time.
When they redid the bridge.
Had some complaints on the West Road, probably under the road commissioner report now. They didn't like the grading on the West Road, we had taken a ride down it, and they moved some mud on the West Road, and it was terrible. But they just cuffed off the bad spots. He is going back this week and do some finish grading, so hopefully that looks better, but we are gonna take a look at it, because I've had several complaints on grading.
He graded our road and it was great, so.
What's that?
He graded our road and it was great, so.
Is it
I
good?
just- It's
Well,
very,
Yeah,
The problem with the West Road is there's not much there to grade.
it's just an old road.
Yeah, there's nothing really there. I mean-
so I really wanna look at it before I, put any
Yeah.
Yeah,
cement into this, this is being graded bad, we'll take a look at it. Might have to add some gravel in some places. Street sweeping possibly next week.
I think last year too, they, same as Anderson, they put a bunch of that, you wanna call it crushed ledge, I guess is, they were getting it out of Brian's.
Yeah.
And they did a section of that last year, I think, on the West Road, but I don't remember just how long they did.
Yeah.
But that
That works really
that
well.
buttoned it up pretty good last year after they did that, so.
Yeah. there's a couple roads like that, cause people live way in, they can't get out to go to doctors, they're having a hard time, so those are the roads we gotta look at. We talked about the parking lot being plowed, to the boat landing. Had Scott Reynolds go in today, pushed all that ditching off, leveled that all out, pulled all the rocks back in. Temporarily, the loop that goes around at the beach, we put rocks up there, there's a tree down in there, it's washed out. So temporarily we block that off so they can't get down in there right now. Soon as the docks move, we decide to make a decision on the dock. You still can go in that way, but right now the docks are in the way. So right now that is blocked off temporarily. And that's all I have.
Okay, selectmen's concerns? Motion to adjourn? Oh, one thing. We've got a meeting on Saturday. Normally, after a meeting, you have a select board meeting, a short one. Do you wanna schedule that? Or do you wanna just go to next, what you make, I guess?
It won't work, will it work for the next Wednesday? Or, yeah, typically we do it,
One of them.
Typically, there's at least a 5-minute meeting following.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
so,
you wanna get one posted for sure.
Are the books out? I went to RD, but there's none there.
They are.
they are out. There you
Got a
go.
couple of questions, yeah.
Oh, because I asked her today, she said she didn't have any. I love that, thank you.
Does it have all the inserts?
Excuse me.
A little sick, so I wasn't able to get out, but there will be some of it.
Are they only in the town office, Michelle?
Right now they are, we've also got some at the post office.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
It's regarding the code enforcement officer. You have one now, since he's on suspension?
We do.
You
Who's
do?
that?
Mr. Tempester.
So we're
What's his first name?
Dexter. We're
Alton Dexter?
paying somebody or Lance?
Yes.
Alton?
Yes.
So how long do you anticipate this to?
It's not,
That's your
again,
question.
it's not, personnel matters are not discussed in a public meeting, so.
Well, I think we had
Anything
plenty
else
of
as far
time.
as selectmen concerned?
Just, there have been, identified a couple typos in the town report, so all of you know, and we are, fixing them, and putting inserts.
Some inserts.
Inserts,
Yeah.
yeah, inserts in. So if the town report that you put your hand on has no inserts, it,
Come see me.
yeah. So,
Anything else?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
second.
It's 4:52, we are adjourned.